Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Furrow, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family, I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired.
Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the Glow Cloud team.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about how you can get your first cloud architect job. Let me tell you, I've been an architect now for 25 years. It's the best job in the world. Ever since I left internal medicine for architecture, I feel like I've never worked a day in the life. Today is going to be the story about how you can get your first cloud architect job regardless of your background. Whether you're Arun, who was our student who was working at Home Depot, and then we got him his first tech job as a cloud architect job for TELUS, whether you're a college student like Yvonne Tambo working as a waiter, or Jordan Kitko, or a Coyote, who all got jobs hired with zero experience as a cloud architect at AWS. And I don't mean an associate architect, I mean a real architect. Whether it's Lenny Burnett, the video editor who got a job as a cloud architect for Arrow Electronics, whether it's Balwinder Kerr, who was a stay-at-home mom who's working as a cloud architect at Microsoft, or whether it was Jennifer Ema, who was a mental health tech, the point is all of you can get a great cloud architect job if you have the right skills, the right training, and the right know-how. And today we're going to tell you about everything you need to know to get your first cloud architect job. And all that you need to learn will cover the job, because 99% of the people out there that want to become a cloud architect, you know what they do? They learn all the wrong things. In the end, they go on a cloud architect interview and they get told, I'm sorry. So we're going to tell you exactly what the role is and everything else. You know, yesterday we celebrated Alonzo's birthday. Alonzo and I had a birthday for me, Alonzo, and Chris. The best gift in the entire world is whenever one of our students tells us they got cloud hired, and it happens to us nearly every night of the week. So in honor of Alonzo's birthday, we're going to have a 30% off coupon code for a very short period of time, but it's available to all of you today because Alonzo and me and Chris celebrate our birthday by somebody getting hired. That's what we love. So today we're going to talk about being an architect, but you know, whenever you hear information, you have to consider the source of information. Who are they? What have they done? Are they credible? Because you don't want to hear about how to become an architect from someone that's never been an architect because they don't know themselves. So I'll tell you a little bit about me and you can assess whether you think I'm credible or not, because I want to help you all. I've been in technology now for over 25 years. I was a lead enterprise architect at Cisco. I was a principal architect at Riverstone Networks. I was a principal 2 architect at Comcast. I worked as a network architect on Wall Street. And of course, I was a lead architect at MCI WorldCom, which was the world's largest internet service provider at the time. Now they're called Verizon. And in the last 25 years being an architect, I've been considered to be a subject matter expert on the following types of architectures: enterprise architecture, cloud architecture, network architecture, and of course, business architecture, or how to architect a business. And for the last 20 plus years, actually it's about 21 years now, I've been helping people get their first tech job, get promoted in tech, negotiate a $100,000 raise, and I want all of you to have the career of your dreams, the kind of career where you walk into work and you can't believe they actually pay you to do this job. And that's the way I felt about my architecture career. I had an engineering career for about 6 months, and that was hard work, but architecture was fun. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how and why we created the How to Get Your First Tech Job method, and we'll also cover why it works. We'll talk a little bit about leveraging your current skills from your past job, because life is cumulative, and if you can position your old strengths to the hiring manager, there's no such thing as no experience. We're also going to tell you what hiring managers dream about. I've interviewed over 6,000 people. I've spoken to thousands of hiring managers, thousands of recruiters, thousands of C-level executives, and they tell me, here's what I want in the perfect architect. Even the cloud providers come to our classes sometimes and talk to our students and say, I love the Go Cloud Careers program because they teach this. This is what architects need to know. We'll also talk about how to get your resume in the hands of the hiring manager. So if you lack experience, you don't get auto-rejected by HR, which will happen if you are not careful and you don't know how to bypass HR. And then we will answer any question you have. If you're on YouTube, you can ask questions. If you're on LinkedIn, you can ask questions in the chat box and I will answer them. If you're on Zoom, we can have a face-to-face conversation, meaning you can turn on your camera and we can talk. I can mini interview you. I can assess your knowledge and tell you where to go. And if you're on Zoom, and if you're on, if you're on YouTube, and if you're on LinkedIn and you want questions, you can just pop into the Zoom session. We're thrilled to have you wherever you are. And we'll answer your questions for about an hour to an hour and a half. So how did it all begin for me? And this is why I want to tell you my story, because 90% of the people I work with are already AWS certified, Azure certified, and they can't get hired no matter how many cloud projects they do because it's the wrong training. But we'll tell you what you need to learn. So it started for me about 25 years ago. I never planned on a tech career at all. I just love tech. My brother was playing some video games and they were never fast enough. So I started building myself a tech lab and I started building wide area networks. And, I was a little bit infatuated with tech. Some people might call it a little bit of cuckoo-ness because I love tech so much that I was spending $30,000 on routers and switches and computer parts and servers. Boy, I had a lot of fun with it. My wife was not happy about me spending about $30,000 a year on tech back in 1995 and 1996. But you know what? It built my tech career, and I had all kinds of fun with it. So here's what happened. I had a home lab, and it was filled with routers and switches and servers. It was really cool. It sounded like a jet engine, assuming you walked in my house, and you could hear it throughout the entire house. But I thought it was cool. And one day, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and my beautiful, wonderful wife, she comes into my little tech room, and she says, "Dear, are you coming to bed? You need to sleep. You need to be at the hospital doing rounds at 6 o'clock in the morning." And I said, "Dear, I'm working on this PGP thing, and I'm loving it. I just can't get it to work." And my wife says to me, she says, "Dear, did you know people get paid to work in tech?" I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." And she says, "The people that get paid to work in tech, they earn just as good of money as you do in healthcare, and they don't spend $30,000 a year buying their tech toys to feed their tech habit, and they actually get to sleep at night because they don't work 12 hours a day and then play with tech for another 6." Now, when she said that, I was like, wow, this is a great idea. So here's what I did. And I bet you it sounds familiar to a lot of you guys. I called my local computer technology school because I wanted to be a network engineer. And they said, "Michael, you need to become a Microsoft certified systems engineer first." And they sold me this $5,000 5-day boot camp. So what did I do? I took the 5-day boot camp. I passed all 4 Microsoft certified systems engineers jobs. And you know who cared about it? Nobody. Not a single hiring manager in the world cared about my certification. So I made the mistake, and I called back the same certification company. And I said, "What do I do now?" And they said, "Well, of course you can't get hired with just that. You need more certifications." And I said, "What do I need?" They said, "You need a CCNA and a CCNP." So here's what I did. I locked myself in a room for 4 days and passed the CCNA exam. Thankfully, I was a good reader for medicine. Then I took a 10-day, $11,000 CCNP boot camp, Cisco Certified Network Professional. Passed the 4 exams for that test. Guess what? Nobody cared. And I figured I'm not going to call this company anymore. I'm going to call another company. And they said, "Mike, you want to be a network architect? Here's what you need. You need a Cisco Certified Design Associate and a Cisco Certified Design Professional." So what did I do? I got certified in them. Now, guess what? I now had 6 certifications. And I know employers don't care about associate certifications, but I thought they cared about professional certifications. So I've got 3 professional certifications, 3 associate certifications. I sent out 5 resumes, and I got rejected, 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 and rejected. Now, thankfully, it was a long time ago, and I got a call from 2 of them. And they said, "Mike, if I was sick and I needed a doctor, I'd love to hire you." And they said, "Look, if I wanted somebody that can really teach people how to pass certification exams, looks like you passed 5 of them or 6 of them in about 2 months. Good for you, but I need people that can do the job, not people that are certified. I don't care about certifications. I care about other stuff." And I asked the manager what they want, and I went, okay, now I've got information. If I've got information, I know what to do. So what did I do next? Well, I come from the medical world, and I research everything. So my initial research was this. I called a recruiter pretty much in every state in the country. I started with California. Why? Because I lived in Philadelphia. My wife was not going to ever let me move to California. And I figured if I called a recruiter in California, it was the tech hub of the world. And if I got a job that I really liked, I wasn't allowed to take it anyway. So there was no loss on my part. I called this recruiter. The recruiter was in Palo Alto, California. He spoke to me for almost an hour. He told me everything that employers cared about. And he told me how little they valued the certification. He talked about what they care about, and I'm going to tell you about it soon. And he said, if you learn these things, you'll get hired. So what did I do? I got all excited. I went home and told my wife, I think I know what needs to be done. And I had a statistics conversation with my wife. And she says, yes, dear. She said, you were told this from one person. How do you think of that as a sample size? What is the p-value or the confidence interval that you have with that? And I went, not good enough. She said, call 50 more. So I spoke to 50 recruiters. All 50 recruiters gave me a list of the skills that they wanted in the perfect network architect or a network engineer, because I asked both, because in my first job, I didn't know what I was going to get. They gave me a list of the technical skills. And more importantly, they gave me the list of all the non-technical skills. They told me the tech is not enough. And guess what happened? I did everything they told me for about 3 months. And I go on my first interview. It was with MCI WorldCom. There was a guy over there. His name was Devendra Manhas. He was a really strong looking guy, really firm, like really focused kind of guy. And here's what happened. He asked me to tell me about him myself. And I answered that. I had practiced it. I was smooth and it was like butter. He's smiling. He asked me a question about a routing protocol called OSPF. I answered it and he was happy. I could see him nodding along. I could see it. He asked me about a routing protocol called BGP. I answered it. And then here's what happened. Devendra says, could you tell me how EIGRP works? It was a proprietary routing protocol. I just didn't know. And I said, Devendra, I'm sorry, I've not had the opportunity to learn that technology yet. In fact, Devendra, this is my first tech interview ever, and I'm so excited to be here. It's Monday, it's at 9 a.m. Last Friday at 6 p.m., I was rounding on my patients in the hospital. I said, but Devendra, I am highly energetic, highly motivated, and I love technology. I said, I learn quickly. In fact, if this was important to you, I'd stay up all night, read 1,000 pages a day for the next month until I was the best person on your team with EIGRP. I said, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I can find the answers to things quickly. And then I finally said to him, if you want to check my competency, let's get deep on BGP, more OSPF, IP multicast, and PIM sparse mode, because I can wow you there. Here's what happened. Devendra sticks out his hand and says, Michael, I'm going to hire you. And I went, wow, this is good. My first tech job, my first tech interview ever, and I'm getting hired. And then Devendra said the thing which shocked me, and it shocked my recruiter, Drago, beyond belief. Devendra says, I do have one challenge with you. And I was like, okay, how can I mitigate that challenge for you? He said, you applied to be a network engineer. He said, you are not a network engineer. And I was upset. I was thinking maybe everybody was right. I got to start at the bottom at help desk or network admin or something like that. And then Devendra shocked me. He said, Michael, you are a senior engineer. And I said, wow. And he said, Michael, the reason you're a senior network engineer is you know far more about the technology than 90% of my team. And you just admitted to me you've never worked a day in your life in tech. He said, so you're a senior engineer and you only asked for this amount of money. I promise you it's going to be a little more. By the way, I had a student out register very recently. He came from selling tissues for Kimberly-Clark. He's now a fantastic senior cloud architect for Deloitte, and that was his first tech job too. He followed my formula exactly. Now, I called the recruiter Drago. I said, Drago, I'm getting hired by Devendra. I'm being hired as a senior architect, not the regular architect that you sent me in on there for. And Drago laughed at me. He said, Michael, he says, MCI WorldCom does about 15 interviews before they hire anybody. He said, Devendra must have been polite, trying to get you out of there. He must have hated you. I'm sure they're not going to hire you. And I said, Drago, I said, I can read people. I said, I spent 7 years as a paramedic. I practiced internal medicine. The guy shook my hand. He looked me in the eye and he told me he was going to hire me. Drago laughed. He actually hung up the phone on me with a few expletives that I won't go down the path. About 10 minutes later, Drago calls me. And he's like, Michael? And I'm like, yes, sir. He says, WorldCom's going to hire you. And I said, I know. I told you that. He said, you asked for this. They're going to pay you this. And he said, they want to hire you as a senior network engineer. And I can't believe it. They actually hired you on the spot. And I said, I told you. And he said, well, you broke history. What did you do? And I told him what I did. And he said, I'm going to send other people to you in the future to get the first tech job. He did. But anyway, so the point is any of us can get the great job if we are prepared to it. As it turned out, about 3 months later, we had a Christmas dinner. My wife was in the Christmas dinner. I'm in front of all my peers, and Devendra said, you know, Lisa, who's my wife, Mike gave the best interview that I've ever seen in my entire 15-year technology career. He said, I don't know what your husband did, but he knows how to win an interview. So what were the lessons that I learned initially before my 20 years of helping others get their first job, getting promoted in tech, negotiating $100,000 raises? I learned the following, and these lessons are applicable to you. This is what it's going to take to build you a dream technology career. Competency, or the ability to do the job, matters a whole lot more than experience. And it is so hard to find someone that's good at any single job that you don't need anything. You don't need a degree. You don't need experience. I can give you Daniel Bosu. He was a 20-year-old that came to me. He took some ridiculous boot camp where he spent $35,000 and learned nothing. He came to me. 6 months later, I trained him, and he's now working as a solutions architect over at JP Chase Bank, and he didn't even graduate high school. That's right, he didn't even graduate high school, but he's that good because he's competent. The second thing that I learned, and it's more applicable today than ever, especially in the world of AI, is you must be what the hiring manager wants to get hired. Now, what you think the hiring manager wants versus what the hiring managers want are two different things. That's why I've spent 25 years asking every hiring manager, what do you want in the perfect employee? Because you've got to be what they want. It's kind of like if I wanted to give my wife a present and I got her a 8K video camera in 8K resolution, which is something that I like and would buy for me. She'd say, what am I going to do with this? Now, if I bought her Manolo Blahnik shoes, she'd be thrilled and very happy. So the key is you've got to be what the person wants. Third lesson that I learned is you must go straight to the hiring manager, because if you apply for jobs, you're going to get rejected by HR and it's all over. So you got to make employers come to you. The next thing that I learned is job descriptions are completely worthless and 100% meaningless. I learned it a long time ago, and it's only gotten worse with cutting and pasting. I have never had more than 10% of anything on a job description, and I've never been on an interview where I didn't get the job. I also learned that anybody, and if you want, I'll give you 50, 75 examples. I don't care. I love doing it. My team will tell you I give too many names, but I love doing it, of people that got a cloud architect job with no experience. I can also tell you all the cloud engineers that I've had, and software developers and network engineers that I've retrained to be an architect, because an architect and an engineer aren't even in the same universe. It's like a kitten and a puppy. Yes, they both have fur. Yes, they both have 4 legs, and they both have a tail, but they're completely different animals. Now, I also learned that your past life and your past career can give you the best and most relevant work experience. These initial lessons that I learned, plus 20 years of research, and getting students hired at Amazon, at Apple, at Cisco, at IBM, at Microsoft, at Google, at Accenture, at Deloitte, at KPMG, at Capgemini, at JP Chase, Barclays Bank, BBC, CDW, and every other prestigious organization. I know exactly how to do it. I've gotten them hired, and I can help you get hired too. So let's talk a little bit, and then we're going to get into the meat of this. But I want you to understand how your past job, especially if it's in another career, can still be beneficial for you. Do you want to know how I really learned how to be an architect? I learned how to practice medicine. And on the surface, this is going to sound crazy. But I want to really talk about what a doctor does, what a nurse practitioner does, what a physician assistant does, and then I'm going to compare it to what the cloud architect does. Either as a cloud architect or a doctor, you must have deep understanding of how the systems work. For a doctor, it might be how blood flow moves through the body. For an architect, it's how all the systems and parts feed together. Now, how do they feed together and how do you put them together? It's about how it works. So, how does that hypervisor work in that server? Not how can you click 2 buttons and start it? Because if you don't understand how it works, you can't put it together. Now, I also learned something really special in medicine. I learned how to ask the right questions. What do you think you do as an architect? We don't touch the tech. And if you work for AWS or Azure or Google or Cisco or IBM or Apple or Deloitte, Accenture, Capgemini, KPMG, you will not be allowed to touch your customer's technology. You will not configure. You will not implement. You will not touch it if you're in any of these major organizations. They have other teams to build it and different teams to design it. I also learned how to get the right information from people and how to guide the person into the right solution. In medicine, you may have to convince your patient to take their medication, lose weight, stop smoking, exercise, those kind of things. In architecture, you have to sell the client on the solution. Otherwise, it's PowerPoint work. Medicine also taught me how to appreciate and respect everyone's differences and their different goals and needs. And medicine taught me the need to specialize and be focused on one thing. So here's how they're similar. Doctor, interview a patient. So let's say Alonzo came to me today. Alonzo, you can see him on my if you're on Zoom. And he came to me and said, Mike, my throat hurts. What am I going to do? Alonzo, what makes your throat better? What makes your throat worse? Then I'm going to take out a tongue depressor and a flashlight. I'm going to look in his throat. I'm going to feel his lymph nodes, listen to his heart, listen to his lungs, maybe push on his belly, and I make a diagnosis. Alonzo, you've got pharyngitis. I'm going to give him a plan. Gargle this salt water thing, and here's a medication. Could be penicillin if he's not allergic, like amoxicillin if he's not allergic to penicillin. If he's allergic to penicillin, maybe I give him erythromycin. If he's allergic to both of them, maybe I give him a quinolone like Cipro, whatever. What do we do as an architect? Alonzo, could you tell me about your business goals, your business pain points, and your business challenges? Alonzo, can I talk to your chief information officer, your chief technology officer, your VP of IT? Can I talk to the department heads and all your businesses? After that, Alonzo, can I bring in a team of cloud engineers to baseline your current system, see what their CPU utilization is, DRAM utilization, network utilization, security? And he says, of course, yes. Then I make a diagnosis, and then I come up with a plan called an architecture. Doctor, interview a patient. Architect, interview a client. Doctor, assess the patient. Architect, assess the patient. Doctor, make a diagnosis. Architect, make a diagnosis. Doctor, generate a plan called a prescription. Architect, generate a plan called an architecture. It's the same job. And on my first architect job, you know what I did? I told them I've been working as an architect for years, architecting people's health. And I showed them how it was the same. And I instantly got it with effectively no experience. So what do hiring managers want in an employee? Well, they want someone that can do the job. Now, if I'm an architect and I want a system designer and they can code, I don't care. If they can configure or do DevOps, I don't care. If they're a database person, I still don't care. I care, can they design an end-to-end solution, not can they build it. Now, if they happen to build it, great. But I care if they can design it. So the ability to do this job, the job in front of you and not anybody else's job. So first guidance principle of building an elite career, don't learn other people's jobs, you'll learn yours. I got to tell you, in my 6,000 interviews, I found less than 50 people that could actually do the job. I found a lot of people that could do other people's jobs. What's the next thing that employers ask? Or for? They say, I want somebody I can trust. What do most people do to burn the trust? They lie on the interview. Can't hire somebody that lies to me. It's done. That's why I've interviewed 6,000 people and I've hired less than 50 of them, because at least 5,000 of them have lied to me, and I can't hire anybody that don't lie. Would you marry someone that lied to you? Of course you would. So keep that in the back of your mind. The next thing employers want is someone that can communicate well. Why? Well, if you're an architect, nobody hands you a piece of paper and says, build this, Mike. You got to go to the client. You got to ask the right questions to get the right information to even begin thinking about it. Why else? If your team doesn't communicate well, they'll have conflict. And conflict keeps people from working, and we don't want that at all either. So employers care if you can communicate. They also cared if you know what you know and if you know what you don't know. And here's the reason. 16% of all cloud hacking events occur to misconfigured S3 buckets. Nothing to configure an S3 bucket, but people don't know what to do. And they don't know what they know and they don't know. So they go do it, and the next thing you realize, poof, outage, security event. Now, what else do employers want? They want energy, enthusiasm, and passion in the employee. Well, let me ask you, pretend you're the manager. Hold on. I got to go take a selfie. I got to go take a belfie. And now I need a nap. Do you want someone that's focused and doing the work, or do you want someone that's on Instagram all day complaining? Hopefully it's obvious to you. Next thing, employers want emotionally intelligent energizers. Someone that walks in the room and makes people feel good. I like to say Alonzo's like a brother to me. We call each other and we make each other feel better. Alonzo comes, my team works better. I come, the team's happy and excited, we work better. Last thing I want is a team player. There's an African proverb that rings true. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Nothing great has ever been done by one person. So, employers want team players. What's the last thing that employers dream about? They want someone that's willing to go above and beyond. Volunteer for projects. That's what they want. Now, we'll talk about it in more context later in the concept of an architecture, but that's what they want. Now, I want you to think about this. When the vendor asked me a question that I didn't know, and I effectively said to vendor, I'm sorry, I have not had the opportunity to learn the technology yet, but I'm highly energetic. I'm highly enthusiastic, and I'm passionate about technology. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I can find the answers to things very quickly. If it's important to you, I'll stay up all night and read 1,000 pages a day until I'm the best person on your team. But if you want to check my competency, we can talk about BGP, OSPF, and PIM sparse mode and IP multicast. A couple things happened there. One, I pointed him for the rest of the interview for which questions to ask me, which were my strengths, not my weaknesses. I also did the following. Can he trust me? Well, yeah, I just said, I'm sorry I didn't learn it instead of lying like most people. I told him I was energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work. Sure. I told him I'd stay up all night and read 1,000 pages a day. I showed him I'd be willing to go above and beyond. Here's what happened. I just showed him I was his dream hire. He had to hire me. Now, granted, I spent decades learning psychology, sociology, neurolinguistic programming, how to communicate these things for my students to get hired, and they benefit my students every day. But that's the key. That's the secret. So, what is a cloud architect? Well, this is where 99% of the people go wrong. Every day I take people that have taken a boot camp, they've spent a year learning stuff, and I ask them how to design systems, and they have no idea. I'll tell you the cloud architecture process in 2 minutes, and I'll tell you exactly what we do from my words, but you don't have to listen to me. The chief information officers went out there and told you what they want in an employee. And unfortunately, 99% of the population that wants to be an architect didn't listen to what the customer told them. Got a secret for you. If you're going to go spend $10,000 on a gift for your wife, ask her what she wants. Don't just get her what you want, because she may not want what you want. Believe me, I made a mistake. I didn't spend $10,000 on it, but I bought my wife what I thought was the coolest thing in the world, and she was not happy. Ever since then, she's bought her own presents and told me what I bought her, and she's been incredibly happy ever since. So Gartner went out there and looked at all these ridiculous, silly cloud architect job descriptions, which had nothing to do with architecture. And they said, look, I'm going to ask the chief information officer, what do you want in a perfect cloud architect? And chief information officers from all around the world responded. And this is your list of what cloud architects do. It was posted in CIO magazine. Somebody from my team pop it in LinkedIn. Someone copy this article in YouTube. Somebody pop it in Zoom for me. According to Gartner, published in CIO magazine, the responsibilities of a cloud architect include leading the cultural change for cloud adoption, developing and coordinating a cloud architecture, that means design, and developing a cloud strategy and coordinating the adoption process. Yes. Now, what will we do every day? Find talent with the necessary skills, assess applications, software, and hardware. We will create a cloud broker team. We will establish best practices for the cloud across the company. We will select cloud providers and vet, meaning figure out what's the best third-party services. We will oversee governance and mitigate risk. We will work closely with IT security people to develop incident response procedures and monitor privacy. We will manage budgets and estimate costs and operate at scale. Note what you didn't hear. No DevOps, no Python, no Linux, no SysOps, none of it. And that's where 99% of people go wrong. This is a business job with technology. It is not a techie job. So I like to say the architect job is 50 to 80% business and 20 to 50% technology, depending upon where you work. So let's go through these Gartner things. On my left hand over here, which is going to look like, on this hand, I will go with tech, and on this hand, I will cover business. Leading the cultural change for cloud adoption, that's a business skill all day long. Developing and coordinating a cloud architecture, that is a tech skill all day long. Developing a strategy and coordinating the adoption process, that is a business skill. Finding talent with the necessary skill, business skill. Assessing application software and hardware, that is definitely a tech skill. Creating a cloud team, that is a business skill, it's a leadership skill. Establishing best practices across the company, that's a leadership skill. So now we've got 5 to 2. Overseeing governance and mitigating risk, that's 6 on the business, 2 on the tech. Working closely with the IT security people to monitor privacy and develop procedures, again, another business skill. Manage budgets and estimate costs, business skill. And operating at scale. Well, I don't know, let's call that business. So basically we have 9 business to tech. You do the math yourself. If you're someone that's been doing hands-on labs and not getting hired, now you know why. So the architect is a hybrid position. This is not a job you can learn on your own. This is a job that is a hybrid position. It's 50 to 80% executive and 20 to 50% technology position. If you work, I'm going to say it again, at AWS, Apple, IBM, Dell, Cisco, Microsoft, Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG, Capgemini, JP Morgan Chase, or any major organization, the architect will never touch their client's technology. They're not allowed to. We design it, another team of cloud engineers builds it, and then it gets turned over to the end. And in the end, it gets met to a maintenance team. And then when it breaks, you use a technology team. I see some people are sending me some private messages. Please don't send them private. Please make it public. And my team will be able to answer them because I won't be able to keep track of the 3,000 or 4,000 messages that are coming around. So the focus of the architect is, how do I improve my organization's business with technology? How do I improve the organization's business with technology? And I like to say the cloud architect's job is to design, present, and sell. And I'm also going to tell you right now, I'll even give you a list of what we do in a 30-second, in 2 minutes or less. This is going to, the list that I give you is going to show you why it's impossible to get a cloud architect job based on AWS, Azure, or Google certifications alone. You can still easily get one of these jobs. I do it every day, but you're not going to do it with certifications. Here's what happens in every architecture. I start at the CEO and I ask them, what is the vision for your business for the next 5 to 10 years? Guess what? That is an executive to an executive peer level conversation, which means I need to understand business and have business acumen, and I need to be relevant for the CXO level leader. None of that's taught in certifications. And then when they tell me the vision, okay, here's how your business is now, and here's how you wanted to get there, I have to do a gap analysis and figure out the changes that need to occur from the baseline to the future state. Next. The next thing that I need to do is as follows. I need to learn how the business operates. How does the company make money? How does the marketing work? The finance work? The accounting? I have to map out all these business processes. And then that's called a business architecture. We need to create a new business architecture. What does that mean? How do we want the business to operate in the future? Now, when I know the organization's vision, and I know how the business works and how we want it to work in the future, and that is going to take a lot of leadership skills, a lot of executive presence skills, a lot of stellar communication skills, all skills that are not taught in a certification. Now, the next thing I need to do is evaluate their data architecture, their application architecture. I've got to go look at their network architecture, their security architecture, their cloud architecture. How is it today? And here's the innovation piece, which will never be taught in a certification. I now need to design a new system, but I'm not going to just design a system like they would teach you in an architecture framework. I need to design the technology to support the new business architecture we want. Meaning the technology changes the way people work, so the new technology architecture needs to support the way the business wants to operate in the future. Now, when we're done this, I need to plan who's going to go build this. How many cloud engineers do I need? How many DevOps engineers do I need? How many software architects do I need? How many software engineers do I need? How many network engineers? I need to plan the implementation. Usually write a statement of work. That's going to require some serious documentation skills. Now, next, I need to go sell this thing to the client. And that means I need to know how to sell. By the way, we architects get paid on how to sell. We get paid commissions and bonuses based upon how much we sell. So I need to know how to sell. I also will need to manage the stakeholders in every department because I've got to sell and get their buy-in, which means I need stakeholder management skills. If I change something in finance, it's going to affect accounting, so I need negotiation skills. Again, none of this stuff is taught in a certification. We teach all these skills because you can't be an architect without them. And then, of course, we need to close that deal. And then we need to hand it off to a new team. So that's why you can't become an architect from certifications, because they don't teach any of those skills. They teach administration skills, not architecture skills. So the next piece of getting your first architect job is as follows. You've got to bypass HR. First, there's these ridiculous job descriptions. I need 1,000 gold medals in the Olympics, 500 years of Kubernetes experience. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the key is, what happens is I'm guilty of it. If I have to write a job description, I don't write a job description. Here's what I do. I go out there on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Dice. I look for something. I'm like, yeah, it looks nice and comprehensive. Doesn't include any of the stuff I want. I add my stuff. I save it. The next employer does the same thing. By the time you're done, you got a 40-page job description with 50 people's different careers, and it's not what the manager wants. And I've had VPs of HR cloud companies come to my class and tell my students, oh yeah, we don't want this. I don't know why. It's a cut and paste job description. So you have to bypass HR, because HR will look for these ridiculous things. And if you're new, you're not going to get hired. Now, if you've got 25 years experience, sure, you can apply for a job. But if you don't, you've got to make companies come to you. I use executive recruiters. All my jobs have come from executive recruiters. Here's why. If I go out there and get a $500,000 enterprise architect job, and it's nothing to get that after a couple of years experience, assuming you've got good business acumen and leadership skills, the tech recruiter is going to get paid $100,000 commission to find me a job. I want them so motivated because they're paid so much money to go find me a job. The companies pay them anyway. And we'll answer all of the questions that you guys have as soon as the presentation's over in a few minutes. Now let's discuss how we can help you become the ultimate cloud architect. Now I'm going to go over a list of skills. You can learn these on your own by getting MBAs and going to executive programs. It will cost you more by far than it will be from us, but I don't care. All I care is that you get great cloud architect jobs at a great salary and live a good life. So I'm going to tell you how we would do it, and I'm going to cover every single skill you need to know. All of them. But you'll know how we do it, but you'll know how to learn them if you want to pay other people to teach you these same skills too. The way we do it is we have live training 3 times per week. Live. Via Zoom, just like we're on the Zoom now. And I get all my students and we design architectures together twice a week. I put my students through the real career. They do the real job with me. They do everything they need. They design it, they present it, they sell it, they document it, they respond to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, all of it. And 1 day per week of the 3, we cover those business things. Now, why are we only spending 1 day a week on the business things and 2 days a week with tech when it's more of a business job? Because you got to have those tech fundamentals, and there's a lot of other stuff online to build your business skills. Now, in between the live classes, we've got projects for you to do. Architecture projects. We've got some actual hands-on tech projects, even though that's not what we do, just to develop your competency as well, further your understanding. We have training on how to build the interview, training on how to negotiate a higher salary, training on how to build your resume, training on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and make employers to you, training on executive presence, CXO relevancy, leadership skills, sales, everything you need to learn to be an architect, and nothing that you don't. Because the average architect, and this is kind of low, but the average architect earns $218,000. Alonzo can give you the exact one. It's closer to $219,000. And the reality is that's $817 US a day. And the reason we give you everything you need and nothing you don't is I don't want you to spend 3 months learning stuff you don't, because $16,000 a month is average architect pay, which means if you waste 3 months, it costs you $48,000, and I want you hired and paid more as fast as possible. So in between live classes, you'll do everything. You'll even build your own cloud from scratch. And that way, when somebody else is like, yeah, I set up an EC2 and CK, okay, I designed an entire cloud and I built it too. Now, we have an incredible global community that's extraordinarily supportive, and they're in every country you can think of in the world. We've got people getting hired in India. We got people getting hired in Pakistan, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Africa, Central America, South America, United States, and Canada. And this is for solution architect jobs, enterprise architect jobs, cloud architect jobs, cloud security architect jobs, all the time outside of this program. And we will give you labs, but not that silly stuff. Like you'll do some AWS labs with us like you would do with anybody else. You'll do some Azure labs with us like anybody else. But you're going to work on the data center stuff in our data center via VPN. Whether it's building your own cloud or creating virtual machines or creating web servers the hard way, You're going to do it the hard way. So you understand how the hypervisors work, how the networks work, how the cloud actually works. And then after that, everything else is just silly easy. And that's why we have every student build their own cloud. Plus, we have to understand the reason we get you hired is we don't just train the tech. If we did, you'd be a cloud admin, maybe a cloud engineer, but not an architect. So we will give you sales skills, communication skills training, presentation skills training, executive writing skills, and leadership skills. Hey, wait, that presentation training is really important. Why? We present almost every day as an architect. And you know what the final interview is on any architect job? You got to give a presentation to a group of people. And if we don't train the presentation, people don't get hired. We will teach you how to have executive presence. We will teach you CXO relevancy, how to relate to the executives. Somebody today just sent me a message and he's like, I want to do business with you. And he didn't know how to communicate to a CEO. And I was like, no, thank you, because you've got to be able to do it for your job. We will give you the business acumen to succeed, the negotiation skills to succeed. And of course, we'll teach you how to build a business case. Nobody buys tech because you say it's cool. You got to prove to them that they'll get a greater return on investment than the solution cost them. As the solution architect, cloud architect, enterprise architect, you got to build a business case. Otherwise, nobody buys your stuff and you get fired. Build a good business case, sell a lot of stuff, and you're earning $500,000 or more per year. Can't sell. Unfortunately, they replace you with someone who can. Now, in our program, with our guidance, you will learn all of the tech you need. What is this tech? Well, it's networking, data center, and cloud tech. There are things like BGP, which will teach you, OSPF, IP addressing, subnetting, and supernetting, switching, which means VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, port channel, ether channel, link aggregation groups, all that stuff. We will teach you NAT, and that's not just going to the internet like with a NAT gateway. We'll teach you how to deal with when one company buys another company and they've got overlapping IP address. So we'll teach you the static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAD, and all the forms of NAT. We will teach you how to select the right WAN technology, whether that be a direct connection or a VPN or software-defined WAN or a SASE solution. We will teach you about servers and server virtualization, so you know all clouds, containers and container orchestration. We will teach you about load balancers and reverse proxies. We will teach you about the storage area networks, block storage, object storage, file storage. We will teach you about the business applications that make business work, which you're going to need in everything. Of course, we'll teach you, how to design for security, next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, and of course, we'll teach you multi-cloud. A solution architect knows one cloud. A cloud architect knows most. Why do you need to learn multiple clouds? 98% of customers now use more than one cloud, which means if you only know one cloud, there's no jobs for you. The solution architect jobs are more dying in favor of the more generic cloud architect jobs. But of course, a cloud architect can get a solution architect job any day of the week. My students do it. But a solution architect will need more training to get a cloud architect job. So cloud architect jobs pay more, and they give you more opportunities, and that's why we teach that. And of course, we'll get you doing hands-on architecture designs and hands-on technology products. Now, everybody in our program gets an internship that says Cloud Architect Associate in Go Cloud Careers. Why? So by the time you're done our program in 6 to 12 months from now, you have work experience on your resume under an official company. And this company that I'm talking about, our company, we've made such an impact in the cloud community in the last 2 years that we've been here, that not only we ranked #1 of School of Cloud Computing online, but we've been featured in over 150 magazines, from Information Week to Tech Republic to Tech Radar to Forbes to CIO Magazine to HR.com. You name it, they're coming to us. Now, certifications. People ask me about this stuff every day. Here's what certifications do. And we will get you certified. We will teach you for the AWS, Azure, and TOGAF certification in our program. And I mean Azure Solutions Architect Expert, AWS Solutions Architect Professional. Of course, TOGAF is going to be in our program as well. But here's the formula. Get one professional cloud certification, ideally a network or data center certification, or a security certification, and I like TOGAF. No more certifications other than that. The certifications are like icing on the cake, meaning if you're ready to get hired and you've got all the skills, the certification will help you get an interview. But the knowledge in the certification is unfortunately not enough to get hired. So we're going to give you there. Now, we will teach you how to build a resume that sells. What does that mean? We will teach you how to capture attention in the right way. We will teach you how to word your resume in a manner that's going to get people coming to you. We will teach you how to do things. Lots of times we do projects with our students. We co-author books with our students periodically. We periodically co-author documents to build our students' brand. And of course, we do everything we can to make our students be successful. So what did we talk about today? How to get your first cloud architect job. We discussed everything you need to learn, what we do in the job, and all the secrets and shortcuts to get hired with education, when you have no experience. Now, of course, we get people hired with experience too, and they get even better jobs. But the point is, that's all you need to know to get hired. You learn those things, you'll be hired. We will build your technical competency if you're with us. We will build the critical business skills, leadership, sales skills, executive presence, communication skills. And we do all of this. And right now with Alonzo's birthday discount, for 2 days pay for the average cloud architect graduate. And while other programs charge 5 and 10 times more than we do, and we have to retrain their students every day, you're going to get hired in our program. You know why? All students stay in our program until the day they are hired. That's it. We're not a boot camp. I detest boot camps. You come, you join us, and you stay until you are hired. You've got a year access to the live classes. You've got 4 months access to the labs, and you've got unlimited access to the community and the training for as long as you need it. And even after people graduate and get hired, they still like to come back to our program, talk to our students, and even participate in training. So we'll get you hired. Now, let me answer questions. But right now it's 30% off. I suggest you train with us because I want to get you hired. We've got students in every other major organization, like I said. But it's up to you. And now you know how to do it. Whether you buy the training, get an MBA on your own, or take our training, you now know everything you need to know. So, team, please give me questions. There was one that was sent to me directly, which I caught. So I'm going to answer that one. The question is, I'm currently working as a technical architect and want to prepare for solution or enterprise software architect. Is the right platform? Well, I've gotten people that are technical architects, enterprise architect jobs constantly. I've gotten them solution architect jobs as well. Now, software architect, that's not something we do. There's many other things that we do which pay far more than software architect. Solution architect jobs, we train. Enterprise architects, we train. Cloud architects, we train. Cloud security architects, we train. And our students are doing great.
Are you ready for the next question, Mike?
I am ready for the next question.
Okay. You kind of just stopped there, so I wasn't sure if you were gathering your thoughts or not.
Okay.
All right. So I've got a couple of questions here on YouTube.
Okay.
And I'll let Chow and the team over there on Zoom collect their questions if there's any. And also remind everyone on Zoom that they can use the raise hand function if they want to come off mute and talk to you.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm going to put a link on YouTube for anyone that might want to jump over to the Zoom if you want to. So if you're on Zoom, use that raise hand function. Please feel free to put your comments in the chat box wherever you are. So our first question here from Helen has a couple of questions back to back. Can you get your internship from day one? And are the classes all online?
So, Helen, can you get your internship from day one? Your internship begins the second you join our course. And in the course, there's ways that you pop it on the resume and LinkedIn profile. We have that in there. Are all the classes all online? No. I mean, online, yes, but not online. We don't. It's not like you would just watch videos and do it on your own. We have 3 live classes via Zoom online per week. We also have recorded videos, which we use special high performance cameras to record them. It's not like we'd make content on a webcam for the most part. And 3 live classes per week on Zoom, pre-recorded content. There are hundreds of hours of content that you can actually go through to fully complete the program, and you'll be great by the time you're done it. And of course, there's projects you do which are inside of our data center. So I guess you could say they're all online, but they're not. But they're live too, unless you buy a course that says non-live.
All right. And I believe that there's a question or two over on Zoom. I'll let the team over there handle that one.
Well, there's actually two. There's one in the chat box, and then there's one in the hand. Which you guys want me to get to first? Let me do the chat box one. How much should a junior solutions architect salary be? So I'm going to make this very clear. There's no such thing as a junior solutions architect. I've never trained a junior solutions architect in my entire life. My students get architect or senior architect jobs as their first job. We're typically seeing between about $140,000 and $180,000 for a first job. But cloud architect jobs can pay anywhere from the average from about $140,000 to as much as about $800,000 a year, depending upon which one you actually get. It's completely dependent upon your sales skills, your leadership skills, your interview skills, and your business acumen. We're saying about $150,000 to $170,000 is the typical average from what we hear the most. But we hear I've had plenty of students that got $300,000 jobs too. In fact, I recently had a student, he did have a tech background. He was working as a solution architect, but we retrained him and he went from a $140,000 job where he was a techie to a $404,000 job where he's an executive lead architect, like we told him in this program. Pretty great return on investment, a $250,000 raise for a course that he paid $2,500 for.
All right. I don't think there's anything else on Zoom right now. Awfully slow, awfully quiet from everybody. Actually, it looks like there's a hand up now.
It looked like it was coming from Emmanuel, but then he disappeared.
It keeps going up and going down. So.
Danny. And then Emmanuel.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Chris and Alonso. I'm curious, definitely that's a good return on investment. So what kind of architect do you have to be to earn $800,000 a year?
A good one with a good business architect, meaning you have to have a tremendous amount of business acumen.
All right. So a business architect, is that different from an enterprise architect?
Well, what I mean by a business architect, an enterprise architect is typically also a business architect. So here's the difference. Alonzo, can you come on screen for a minute? Join me in the center of the screen. It's for the people on Zoom. So, Alonzo, could you tell me about your business? Whatever it is, I don't care. He's making it up right now.
Actually, it's very similar to Splunk. We need high availability, high redundancy. We have security. We want to have large observability that requires a strong network background and environment, and we'd like to fortify that with a disaster recovery infrastructure.
Okay, Alonzo, what's the typical revenue that you have per year right now?
We're looking at a minimum of $14 billion per year.
14 billion per year. Where are the pain points in achieving that and achieving more than that?
The pain points would be, of course, cost. Of course, definitely arresting more market share, being able to meet the demands on high points of the year. We definitely want to avoid any type of security risk as happened in the recent events with Las Vegas. So security is a big issue for us, and making sure that we're able to meet the needs of our customers with those type of pain points.
So when you say cost, is it cost of customer acquisition or your technology cost too high? Could you give me a little bit of information on what costs are where? Employee costs, for example.
Those costs would definitely be in the networking, being able to, especially in the storage arena. Those costs would be in maintaining a multi-site for disaster recovery, being able to understand how we can mitigate those costs, or at least be able to find efficiencies in those areas.
So efficiencies and costs. So how much of your cost challenge is personnel related?
Personnel related, it's in the millions per day, but we can do a breakdown and share that cost effectively.
Okay, so do you know per chance what a minute of downtime costs you in terms of thousands or millions of dollars per minute?
We're looking at a minimum of about 10 to, depending on where we are, it could be between $20,000 to $60,000.
$20,000 to $60,000 per minute. Okay, that gives us a little bit. Now, employee-wise, is your constraint on sales? Is your constraint on your technology professionals to actually build the things? Where's your constraints?
The constraints would definitely be in building, based off of the costs with on-prem as well as cloud. We may not have the support as needed, so making sure that our internal staff has the ability to do so, that's a key problem as well.
So got a key staff. Where's your so obviously your business people are local. I'm assuming they're in the US or the UK. Sir. Where's your technology staff located right now?
The technology staff will be on both sides, East and West Coast, and we also have a smaller database in Texas.
So you got a little data center in Texas and the East Coast and West Coast. And is that where all your technology professionals are?
Mostly on the East Coast and West Coast.
Okay. So of what they do, how much of that could be automated in your preference? Have you spoke to other automation experts?
Yes, we have. There's been some use cases of automating a minimum of 25% of that, but there's always room to see if we can do more. But it always depends on how we can keep people employed, but still keep up to date with technological advancements too.
Okay, what are you doing for forecasting? Is that human based, or are you using technology to forecast?
We're doing technology forecasts.
What are you doing?
What we're doing is that we're doing AI generative forecasting via black box, find out what is going on and how we can see where we are with both the short and long term. But we also like to see from different perspectives of how we can continue to move forward with technology, but still be able to add that human component as well.
Okay. So Alonzo, here's what I'm hearing and here's what I'm thinking. It sounds to me like we're using some generative AI, but I don't hear a lot of deep learning or anything to assist you with forecasting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm also hearing that almost all your technology personnel are in the US, East and West Coast, and Texas. Now, it seems to me we've got a huge opportunity to enhance your technology staff and potentially outsource that for you. Cut your hands-on staff costs by about 80% and still increase the velocity of what we can do. The next thing we need to do is we need to assess the utilization of your systems right now. It sounds like you've got a lot of data centers. Perhaps what we can do is consolidate the best components that you have in all those data centers into a single data center and put an OpenStack or a Nutanix cloud there and really get the best price to performance. And then we can offload to the cloud to give us more agility. And at the same time, while we're actually involved in doing that, you said your sales and customer acquisition was a bit on the expensive side. I want us to use some better tools to help make some better forecasts so we can actually figure out what your customers' goals are, what we need, and then supercharge your sales reps to go find them. Would that be interesting to you? I'd like to have a further conversation after we're done with this.
Absolutely, Mike. I think you can provide a lot of details and gap analysis so that we can move forward effectively.
Okay. So, great. I'll be speaking with your chief financial officer, your chief information officer, your chief technology officer. I'll be speaking with all your department heads, and I'm going to bring in a team of experts.
Fantastic, Mike. Thank you.
Now, why did I go on this for a bit of time? Somebody asked me, what does a $500,000 or an $800,000 architect look like? They look like that. They're in there. They understand that business. They understand all the constraints in that business, and they know ways to tune and optimize the business. Every one of our architects learns these skills. Because if you don't know these skills, you're not an architect. But, the better you are at that. Now, that level of conversation only comes after you've done billion-dollar architectures. All my students are awesome, though. But that's the difference, because one guy like me can have a conversation with a guy like Alonzo who's got a $14 billion a year revenue run rate annually. And if I can help him be 0.5% better, we're talking about millions and millions, like $14 million. Or 1%, I think, would be $140 million. So the point is that's why an elite architect can earn more, because of their ability to tune and optimize the business.
Thank you, Mike. That was a great example.
You're welcome.
All right. So we've got some questions again over here on LinkedIn.
Wonderful.
Let's see. Jerry asked, where did it go? I just had it. You have to love technology. Things move around.
All the time.
There it is. Jerry asked, how much does it cost?
Jeremy, our program is normally $2,500, but right now it's 30% off. So I'm doing the math in my head. It's about $1,600. Now, what's so special about that number? The average cloud architect earns $818 a day. So it's about 2 days pay for the average graduate that we have. 2 to 3 days pay.
And give us a quick rundown of what that $2,500 gets you.
Well, it gets you 3 live classes per week. It gets you business acumen training, the kind that you get if you did a third of an MBA. It gets you leadership training, sales training, executive presence training, networking training, data center training, cloud training, security training, and it gives you about 700 hours of content. And it gives you all the skills necessary to get an incredible cloud architect job. And Jerry, you stay in this program until you're hired. We're not a boot camp. I don't want to sell something and have people not get tired. You know, we are there. We have PhD business school professors coming in to teach business acumen in this program. We have VPs of technology companies coming in. In addition to me, we have other network architects, other cloud architects, other AWS solution architects working for AWS coming in and teaching. We have people of all different application architects everywhere. We've got a global community that's known in every single company. We've got an alumni network that is so big and so strong at Apple, Amazon, Cisco, IBM, Microsoft, KPMG, Deloitte, Accenture, Capgemini, and we'll get you every skill that you need. Now, half of our people work full-time in previous jobs, and they get hired all the time.
At Mike, 80% of our people work full-time.
Okay, I thought it was half. Chris is right. Chris has the numbers and does the analytics. He's my chief operating officer. It's 80%. And I'd say about 20%, don't have a job. And here's the key. If you don't have a job, you can work at it 10, 12 hours a day. That's what I like to see. If you do have a job, it just takes you longer to get through. We don't care. All we care is that you get to your goal in the end. I don't care about anything else other than changing your life. Neither does Chris. Neither does Alonzo as our executive. And anybody else that's on our call is part of our team, and there's a lot of team members on this call. All they care is that you're successful too. Alonzo was one of our students. He came, he did what everybody else did. He went and got a bunch of certifications. Nobody hired him. I trained him. He got a cloud job. And then it was like, Alonzo and I are like brothers. People wouldn't realize how similar we actually are. I mean, it's incredible. And here I am calling up Alonzo, begging him to leave his cloud job to come work for us to change students' lives. And he did. And I'm too grateful he's here.
All right. And well, I'll wait for some other questions to come in. Going to bring in some comments from LinkedIn and YouTube here. So Douglas, one of our amazing students, says, hello all, enjoy the webinar. GoCloud and Mike Gibbs and his team have something really great in their program offerings and are even better people.
Thanks, Douglas.
We love it, Douglas. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And keep up the great work. Tevin says, happy birthday, Alonzo.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Nate says, wow, I'm currently in a $7,000 cloud computing boot camp. Shake my head. Understand the feeling, Nate. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
That's exactly why we're here, because we don't want to charge that rate, and we hate hearing that people paid that, and in the end, they don't get the actual skills that they need. But we'll do whatever we can to help you. Question from Cole Taz. I want to answer that.
Okay. Is it Zoom or YouTube or?
It looks like it's on YouTube.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me scroll. I got the Mike is dropping gems. Great return on investment. Thank you. Is it this one?
Yes.
All right. I'll let you read it out.
So 3 live classes a week. What's the duration of the course? Until you're hired. Now, I will tell you that on average, it's 6 to 12 months. But if it's 14 months or if it's 2 months, that's what it takes. You know, I had Richard Afukar. He was one of my first students. He got hired by AWS as a technical account manager in the first 3 weeks of my program. I had Delroy Batt was in my program for about a month. He leveraged some of the interview training, and he ultimately got himself a security job. And then he stayed in the program, and about a year later, he got a cloud security architect job. I had Joe Millen, who was a dual CCIE. He and I worked together at Cisco. He came to be an architect, and he was a senior solutions architect at AWS in 3 weeks. But I also have some people that work full-time jobs, and while they're having a full-time job, they have a brand new baby, and in the middle of having a brand new baby, they get a relative that's sick, and they've got to leave the country for 6 months to a year. Guess what? We don't care. You come back, you stay until you are hired. That's it. We will never give up on you as long as you don't give up on you.
Always remember that the program works if you do.
All right. Elorm is in Ghana. We'll answer this question, and I think we've got one on Zoom to get to. Elorm in Ghana. How do I attend your class?
All you need is a web browser and a computer. Our classes are on Zoom. Just install Zoom on your PC, Mac, or Linux system, and you're in. How do you do the labs in our data center? We set up an IPsec VPN for you. And poof, you're done. And you're good. And that's going to work too. So no matter what you're going to get in, it's all going to be there. I think there's a Germany question next.
Okay, I was going to go with the one on Zoom.
Okay. Whichever one you want.
Yep. So it looks like we've got one on Zoom from Vikas in the chat box there. Oh, no. Jerry. Do you recommend the program without live classes?
Well, personally, I always recommend the program with live classes. And here's the reason. Look, there's enough content watching the live classes to get a great cloud architect job. There is. But if you are not in the live classes and it comes to improving your executive presence, I'm not going to be there to coach you. And if we do a practice interview in class, for example, and you're in the class, I can coach you on it. I can tell you to pause here, change your vocal tone. If you're in the live class and you're stuck on something, you can ask us live. If you're in the non-live class, you got to use Slack, and somebody will give you an answer, but you know it's not the same as asking me or Alonzo or someone else live. So I always recommend the live. And the cost difference between the live and the non-live is really nothing. In order to get a job that pays $218,000 a year, for the most part, you have to do what Chris did, I did, and Alonzo. You're typically dealing with at least $200,000 of education. And you know, that gets expensive. And you attend a class and it costs you $200,000 and you still don't necessarily get there. You know, for us to basically be $1,250 more to attend live classes and get executive coaching, we strongly recommend it. Now, guess what else we do? We had the non-live version because there's some people that work full-time and no matter what they need to do, they can't attend classes. So we have a non-live version. We also work with some of the most amazing and wonderful people spread throughout Africa. We even have 3 team members that work for us in Africa. And we understand in Africa and India and some other places, people may not be able to afford our normal training. So we tried to come up with a cost-effective version in the live. But if you can afford the live or at least attend 1 live class per week, we really would recommend you do the live training because it is better.
All right. He said that makes sense. Thanks. Vikas asked a similar question to what you just answered for Cole, but he's on Zoom, so we'll answer it again. Duration of the program.
Vikas, the program takes until you get hired. It's typically 6 to 12 months, but we are not a boot camp. I absolutely detest boot camps. Boot camps take a ton of your money and they kick you out in 16 weeks or 6 months. None of us would ever live with ourselves if we did something like that. You take our training. If it takes you 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years because you have to go to another country, I don't care. You stay on our program until you are hired. Typical is 6 to 12 months. Let me get the one from let me get Gervais. I don't want to mistake the name.
All right.
So the question is, hi, Mike, I'm living in Germany. Do you have any experience with students living in Germany? I've got lots of students working in Germany. I get students hired in every single country in the world. Malad was a student of ours. He got hired in Germany very recently. There were Sig Wolf got hired in Germany very recently. There's another one, Ernest. I think he was Cameroonian but moved to Germany, got hired in Germany. We've got lots of students getting hired in Germany. Look, we've got students getting hired in every country in Europe, I think, except for my own country, which is Greece. We've got students getting hired in India, Pakistan, all over Asia, all over Australia, all over New Zealand, in Mexico, in South America, in North America, the US, the Canada, lots of people getting hired in the UK, and people getting hired in Africa too. We've got people getting hired everywhere.
Right. So we got a question from Zoom about the class sizes. What are the class sizes in the Zoom setting?
The class sizes are dependent. You know, they can be as little as 50 and as many as about 120. It's far less than when I went to Temple University and there were 300 people in a lecture hall, or when I went to University of Florida and there were 500 people in a lecture hall. But everybody has a chance to speak and everybody learns. And we also have an elite program, which people that want really small batch classes. And then that is a combination of our business acumen program, our special interview program, our special branding program, and it also includes small batch training plus the Cloud Architect program. It's unbelievable.
Okay, over here on YouTube from Be Intentional. My first language is French and my English is not that great, so communication is a challenge. Can I still be a cloud architect and succeed?
Well, if your first language is French, you can obviously be a cloud architect speaking French in the French locations. No problem. There's a lot of them. You've got France, you've got Belgium, you've got all over Africa, you've got Canada, so plenty of places where you can make a living in French. But also, you've got the Caribbean too. But also, you know, I don't speak English at home, I speak Greek at home. And we've got students coming from every single part of the world, and they're completely getting hired.
All right, looks like we got a hand raised on Zoom from Emmanuel.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Emmanuel.
Hello. First of all, I want to appreciate you, Mike, and your team for the discounts you gave yesterday. That speeding my possibility of getting registered yesterday. It was a big relief on my side. Thank you so much.
Thrilled that you're here. I can't wait to see what you accomplish.
I hope to. I hope so too. And I was going through the modules of the dashboard of different ones. I found the recorded area of it. And my question is, those recordings, are they the class lines that were later saved for recording, or those are another side of it that we need to learn?
Okay, so first, you know, please read the email that came with the program. Definitely message us on Slack and on class today, which I hope you join at 4 p.m. And anybody that just joined now, I saw a lot of you. Please make it to class at 4 p.m. if you can today. If not, you can join us tomorrow, but that's neither here nor there. We just want to get you in as fast as possible. But, you know, follow the course in the order that's presented in the program. Now, when you see previous class recordings, they're actual previous classes. Any student now gets access to every single class we've taken in the past. And if you can go through all of them, more power to you. You'll get through and get hired much faster. But, and I recommend it because, you know, I'm an overstudier. But please watch the old classes, follow the program in order. You're going to learn really, really fast. And make sure you sign up for Slack, and please make sure you read that welcome email that you got sent last night, because it's going to have answers to most of this stuff. But I'm going to I see you in class today?
Hopefully,
okay.
Yes, I'm excited, but I'm still trying to learn how to join the class. I think I'll go through it. I don't know if you can tell me how to do that right here.
If you log into the class, there's a section of it where it says how to join the live classes and the Zoom links. Click it. It'll take you right to it.
Mike, let me speak to this for a second. Okay. Emmanuel,
yes, sir.
Do the course that is called Number 1 Start Here Orientation. There are videos and lessons in there that tell you exactly how to do what we're talking about right now.
Okay. I think I've done part of it. You were the one that took the classes, actually.
You please do all of Number 1 Start Here Orientation.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. So on Zoom from Yone, I have experience with the AWS Solution Architect and Azure Service. Do you guys hire people have experience?
We do hire experienced architects from time to time, but experienced architects for us are people that have designed billion-dollar architectures in the past. They're not, because if we're going to train students, we need students that work at the C level every single day of the week. They've reached principal architect or greater for the most part in their life, because we don't want like anybody to teach. We want principal architects, distinguished architects, and VP level architects teaching our students. So if you have that kind of background, sure, we'd love to talk to you.
Jerry on Zoom asks, when does the classes start after you sign up?
The second you sign up, you will have access to the recorded components of our training program. And then you'll be rolled into the next class that you can physically join. Now, we do things a little differently around here. I come from medicine and martial arts. And medicine and martial arts, the reason they're so successful at creating experts is as follows. In medicine, you have a 4th-year resident, 3rd-year resident, 2nd-year resident, intern, all working together with experienced physicians. In martial arts, you put a black belt, a red belt, and an orange belt all in the same class. And that way, everybody can feed off of each other and learn together. So what happens is the online portion is self-paced. Lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 996, whatever. That's how it works. But we have live classes. Today, I'm going to be teaching disaster recovery strategies in class. And here's the thing. About 2 months ago, I also covered disaster recovery strategies in a live class. So what we do is we repeat the live classes periodically so that everybody will get through every live class at least 1 or 2 times, no matter when they joined. And that way, we can take you in the second you join. And after we take you in the second you join, we can keep you in until the day you are hired. So you'll start the minute you're there, because the average architect earns $818 a day. I don't want you waiting 10 days to start. That's $8,000 of lost earnings, which is almost 4 times the course cost right now with the sale.
I will let you read that one that just came in on Zoom. That's too long for me to read.
I will read that, but I want to answer Uni's first.
Okay, good.
Uni asked, are there any prerequisites? None. Ivan Tambo was a waiter before he came to us, and he got hired as a cloud architect. Lenny Burnett was a video editor before he came to us. Arun was I don't know what he was doing at Home Depot, but he was working at Home Depot before he got him a cloud architect job at AWS. Balwinder was a stay-at-home mom. Jermaine was selling landscaping gear before we got him his first enterprise architect job. Vladimir was a 24-year-old college student before we got him an architect job at North Highland. Depen was working at Best Buy before we got him hired at Sirius Computer Solutions. Debbie in the UK is now like Credera. She was just, I think she was retired at the time. Scott McCormick, we got him hired at Nimbus. I don't think he had a tech background either. It doesn't matter your background. We start at ground zero. And that way everybody has there, because it doesn't matter what you've done in your past. I need everybody to have strong foundational knowledge in order to get that way.
Great, Mike. Are you ready for the next question?
I'm always ready. Fire away.
Yes, you are. Okay, from Toa, 20-year seasoned diesel technician here. Started in February with my complete career transition into the cloud industry. I worked to obtain an order, the CompTIA, what is that, the ITF Plus, the CompTIA A Plus, and just last week, my AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. I'm really intrigued in a career some way to get me to be able to most likely be able to work remote for the work-life balance. At current, the cloud security is really calling my name. Is there any input would be appreciated? And he or she is asking where they should, if they join, where should they start?
Are they able to come off mute?
Yeah, can you come off mute?
Toa Vang, can you come off mute?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, you can.
So,
Hello.
So I'm thrilled you're here. I am sorry to hear you spent a lot of time working on what you did, but I can easily help you. I've got a tremendous number of students. Daniel Bosu spent $35,000 to learn a CompTIA Security Plus. I gave him a quick interview. I retrained him and he got hired very quickly. So let me see where you're at. And if I understand your knowledge, I can tell you where to begin a little bit. How would you architect a secure demilitarized zone for a mission critical web application and a mission critical security environment?
Yeah, I am completely new, so I would not know how to even answer you with that.
Okay. So how would you describe how does a stateful firewall work?
A stateful firewall is where, I know between stateless and stateful, I'm still working on that. Stateful, stateless, one allows information to go out and doesn't come back in, and the other allows it to go, to go out and come back in.
Okay. So I'll give you a quick answer to that for everybody that's here, maybe some free training, show you how we train things, and then I'm going to give you your answer. There is no such thing as a stateless firewall. They haven't had them in over 25 years. So I know it's in a Security Plus certification, but they don't exist. Here's what a stateful firewall is. Let's pretend my iPhone is the firewall. Let's say I want to go to gocloudcareers.com. So I sit behind the firewall. I type www.gocloudcareers.com. My PC then says, whoa, I need to reach it. So the first thing my PC does is it sends a DNS request, the DNS server. It resolves the IP address. Then my PC says, do I have a route in it? It looks at its default gateway. It says I have a default gateway. My PC does an ARP, and it sends the message to my default gateway. I'm not going to go into the details of ARP and all this stuff. Now, my PC, when it wants to go to www.gocloudcareers.com, is going to send that message through my firewall, which happens to be my iPhone. The message is going to include a SYN. It's a TCP synchronized to open the port. It's going to go hit that web server. The web server is going to say, Mike, I acknowledge the open message you sent to me, otherwise known as a TCP SYN, and I'm going to send a reply back to you and open a connection with you. So now the reply from the website comes to the firewall, which happens to be my iPhone right here, and it's allowed through. Why was it allowed through? Because the firewall actually tracked it, and it knows that my return traffic is coming in. Now you can see Chow and Alonzo next to each other in the YouTube box. They're on the outside and they try to come in and they're blocked. So stateful means I watched what happens at the firewall level and I allow return traffic in because I've tracked it and I allow it in. So, Turvang, we have to start you out from the extreme fundamentals. No big deal. I do it every single day. First, I would make sure you learn TCP IP in our program. You would learn security, but you would also learn the underlying systems. Because security is not just about a firewall. It's not just about identity and access management. It's everything from encryption to designing and setting up a security policy to evaluating the training needs of your people. Chow, I don't want Chow clicking on that link, for example, so I might need to teach her anti-malware, anti-phishing campaigns, anti-social engineering. Security is about micro-segmenting the systems. It's about determining the appropriate transportation strategy. It's about how do we harden the servers, what kind of next generation firewalls, what kind of IDS, what kind of security event correlation are we doing, what kind of data loss prevention strategies, and we'll teach you all that stuff in our course. And you'll be able to communicate it exactly as well as I did. And then you'll have a job and the career that you can't even imagine when you're done. But I wanted to ask you first because I don't want to make assumptions. I always ask before I give information. Did I answer your question, Tua? Okay, he says sounds great in the chat box. Love to work with you. You'd be like Delray Bad or Daniel Bosu, who we completely retrained, and they did great.
All right, so we've got over here on YouTube. Give me just a second. Let me find it again. Angelo asked, and this is not our Angelo. He could be in the future, probably. Angelo Joseph asked, "What's at 4 p.m.?"
At 4 p.m., we have a live architecture class today. For the students that signed up, and my email's been beeping like crazy, which is great because I can't wait till you all get hired. We have a class. And if you just signed up and you can join us, great. If not, you can join us tomorrow for the business and soft skills course, which is also great. Or you could join us next Tuesday. But I want to get you in the first minute you sign up because time is money. Average architect earns $817 a day. I don't want people waiting, 14 days because, 8 times 7 is 56. It's about $12,000 lost in 2 weeks. So I just want you working as fast as possible.
All right. And from Zoom, we got a good question from Mark. What Mark is asking about is actually sounds kind of like what a couple of our students have done, like Delroy. What is your definition of until hired? When we say you're with us until you're hired, I need to get a sustaining job until I can develop my skills into a higher job role. If I get entry cloud architect position, I'll likely will have to advance by changing companies. So what's the definition of until you're hired?
Until you have a real job. And what do I mean by that? So we use Delroy Bad. He's a friend. He came and visited me in Florida. He was one of my first students. He took this $8,000 cybersecurity boot camp. In the end, he had no knowledge. He went on 30 or 40 interviews and no one was interested. He took our training. He was in our training for about a month and he got his first cloud security. He's got his first cloud security job. It was not an architect job, but it paid him well. And he took that job until he completed our program about a year later and got hired by CDW, Computer Discount Warehouse, a big gold partner to many providers, as a cloud security architect. That's hired.
Yeah. So basically, until you reach that career that you desire, we've got people that are already working in architect roles, and they actually join our program because they want to get to a different one, and so we're with them until they get hired. Or like Delroy and others have done, they take on a role mid-program and parlay that into a bigger opportunity with what they do with us and the work that they're doing. So yeah, good question there. I don't think we've ever actually been asked that question before, so I was glad to get that one.
Yeah, we don't do that nonsense that the boot camps do where you got a $20,000 job and they're like, woohoo, we're successful. That's not success.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started with that.
Also, it's really important to know we don't take a share of your profits or whatever.
Oh, God, no.
Whatever that model is, which is horrible.
No, the worst thing that I saw. So with a lot of these income sharing boot camps, you'll see the income sharing agreement says that you can, if you're not working or you're working below a certain amount, you don't have to pay back until you start earning a certain amount. But that it's interesting. It's so interesting that threshold seems to correlate with a lot of those positions that they try to get you to take. So let's say your threshold that you have to start paying back is $50,000 a year. Interestingly enough, a lot of those opportunities they're pushing are $50,000, $55,000 a year. And it's just like, oh, they're just trying to get you just over that hurdle. And it's like, no, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is the average salary is 218. That's what we're targeting. We don't want you taking anything else unless it's something that you plan to parlay into another opportunity. On YouTube, OCIM says, what's the difference between solution architect and enterprise architect?
Okay. Well, I'm going to be honest with solution architect, and then I'm going to change it to solution architect, cloud architect, and enterprise architect. I'm going to define all three. Here's what a solution architect is, a meaningless term. And why do I say it's a meaningless term? AT&T cell phone sellers used to be called solutions architects. If I go to Jay's Flooring in Port St. Lucie, the solution architect helped me figure out whether I want tiles or I want wood. If I go to NVIDIA, a solution architect helps me pick out which graphics processing unit to use. If I go to Cisco, a solutions architect is pointing me towards Cisco networking gear. If I go to AWS, solutions architect designs AWS stuff for me, only on AWS. Now, I don't train solutions architects, I train cloud architects, and all the time they work as solution architects. And here's the thing. If you only know one cloud as a solution architect, you're done. If you only know AWS, in today's world, there's only one company that can hire you, AWS. If you only know Azure, there's only one company that can truly hire you, Azure. Why? 98% of organizations use more than one cloud. So a solution architect is a term that says, I design you stuff on my company stuff and nothing else. So if we compare an AWS solutions architect to a cloud architect, an AWS solutions architect will design your AWS stuff only. A cloud architect stuff will design your AWS stuff, your Oracle stuff, your Google stuff, your OpenStack cloud stuff, your Nutanix cloud stuff, your AWS cloud, and all of them. And that's why cloud architects can get a job as a solution architect any day of the week, but it's also why they have more jobs and they get paid more. And if I'm going to train somebody, I can just as easily train them to be a cloud architect as a solution architect. Why wouldn't I want them to earn more? So I give them better things. Now, the next thing is an enterprise architect. An enterprise architect is a business executive job. Most enterprise architects have an MBA, and really it's about optimizing the business strategy, tightening the technology to the company's vision, setting up managing governance, more stakeholder management. So enterprise architect is 80 to 100% job business and about 20% tech. Cloud architect job or solution architect job is about 50 to 80% business and 20 to 50% tech. So it's a bigger business role. It's easy to get a cloud architect as your first job. It's easy to get a solution architect job as your first job. It's hard to get an enterprise architect job. Now, when I have someone like Pritipal say, John, who was a student of mine, I got him an amazing enterprise architect job. He was a techie before. Angelo was another one who was awesome. And Angelo was an application architect. We trained him to be an enterprise architect. Now, Jermaine Houston, a really awesome guy. He was selling landscaping gears. He's fun to be around. He actually was selling landscaping gear. We got him an enterprise architect job. And Wallace of Ghana, really great guy from Ghana. We got him his first enterprise architect job straight out of our training program, and he never worked in tech before.
All right. So I want to remind everybody about Alonzo's 30% birthday discount. If you're on Zoom, LinkedIn, YouTube, you've been seeing that in the chat box or in the comments, wherever you are. That is a discount that will only be available this week. So this is Alonzo's birthday week. So I can't remember if I came up with the idea or Mike came up with the idea or Alonzo came up with the idea. Whoever came up with the idea, we came up with it on the fly the other day, and I had to put it together in the middle of a live stream. But it's only good for this week. So make sure to take advantage of that 30% discount. It's available on all the payment plans, all the options. It's absolutely an incredible opportunity. I just wanted to remind everybody about that. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, you've got that banner up there above Mike's head, occasionally chopping off a couple of Mike's hairs there. And but yeah, I wanted to remind everybody about that. So let's after the 30% discount. It's basically 30% off of $24.99. I don't have my calculator, so let me pull up my calculator for the person on Zoom that asked what the balance is after 30%. Let's see. Real-time math from Chris. $1,749.30. Oh, Jerry beat me to it. Thank you, Jerry. We need to get you in the program, Jerry. You're going to make us sharp, I promise.
Yes.
You make you sharp as well, but I need my math skills faster.
Absolutely. And we never discount our elite program, but we're going to do it until Friday for Alonzo's birthday.
You broke my surprise. I was going to say we decided to do that 30% on our elite program too. So make sure to take advantage of that.
And
Normally we've never done a discount on that. Even when we had Mike's birthday discount last month, we didn't do it on the elite program. So it is on the elite program as well. It's on the live Cloud Architect Career Development Program. It's on the non-live Cloud Architect Career Development Program. It's on the Tech Interview Mastery Program. It's on the Tech Interview Fundamentals Program. It's on the Secrets to Building Your Brand Program. I guess that's everything, Mike.
Yep, it is.
So you can thank Alonzo for for having 30% off of everything in our repertoire. I didn't think I was going to use the word repertoire today, but there we go.
As long as people can take advantage of this and change the trajectory of their career, I'm all for it. Let's go.
Their career and their life. Absolutely. Yes. All right. On Zoom, in this process, I'm assuming of our program, in the process, this is from Uni, do I also give cloud certification exams?
Yeah, we recommend you we gave you our certification formula, either an AWS or Azure one, a network or security one, and the TOGAF. And we provide training for the TOGAF. We provide training for AWS and Azure. But that's the last thing you should do. Wait, what? The last thing? And here's the reason why. I've gotten plenty of people hired as cloud architects with 0 certifications. Why? Because employers don't care about certifications. It may help you get an interview, but we like them because they help you get an internet certifications. So let's talk about this. If I can get you through in 6 months and hired with 0 certifications, you're hired in 6 months. Now, you can have all the certifications in the world without doing the training, you'll still never get hired. So I like to say, learn the job and then do the certifications. Well, and here's the reason why. If you learn the certifications first and you waste 3 months learning certifications, and then 6 months learning the career, it took you 9 months. Now, the average cloud architect earns $16,000 a month. So if your focus is on certifications and you spend 3 months on it, you wasted $48,000 when you could have been hired. So first, learn the job. The second thing is when you actually learn the job first, the certifications become simple and easy. The certifications are only hard when they're talking about an EC2 instance and you don't understand that it's a virtual machine and you don't understand how a virtual machine works, and it's hard. I wanted to prove a point to somebody. A couple of years ago, the only cloud I never worked on was the Google Cloud. And I told all my buddies, I said, I've been designing clouds for cloud providers for years. I've consulted to all the cloud providers. The first cloud I worked on was in 1996, and I said, the hardest cloud certification is the Google Professional Cloud Architect, and I bet my buddy $50 that I could pass it in 2 days by buying the book, reading the book, and pass it 2 days later. My friend said, Mike, you're crazy. You don't know Google. And I said, I don't need to. A server is a server, a container is a container orchestration is container orchestration, only the names have changed. So I took the Google Professional Cloud Architect exam and passed it in 2 days. So we want you to do the training first, and then you can pass the exams like very easily. And instead of taking 3 months to do the exams, it might take you 1 month, which means you shave 2 months off, and the average architect earns $16,000 a month. So you made $32,000 more. So, but of course, you'll do the certifications. The certifications are like wrapping paper on the beautiful gift. They make you more desirable, so you do it afterwards. Now, you also asked, how do you show experience to the employers? Well, if you're in our class, you're going to have a job title, and it's going to be Associate Cloud Architect at Go Cloud Careers. And in our program, you'll be designing high security environments for certain types of environments. You'll be designing multi-cloud strategies for banking organizations. You'll be designing high availability multi-cloud strategies for healthcare organizations. You'll be designing private clouds for clients. You'll be doing whatever, and you'll have it all listed on your resume as a job under Go Cloud Careers.
All right. Another question on Zoom. I got to find it. Not so much a comment, but well, it is a comment. I like it. Hi, Mike. I'm so looking forward to getting Cloud hired. This will change my life forever and make my wife a believer. By the way, my wife finally gave me the approval to join your course from Darnell. I understand that. Happy wife, happy life, Darnell.
I don't do anything without getting permission.
We love it. We love it. And we look forward to working with you. Uni asks, how do I show experience to the employers?
I answered that.
Okay.
So that if he's part of Go Cloud Careers, he'll have a job title of Associate Cloud Architect, and all the architectures we do will show up as experience.
All right. Okay, Chow answered this about the times of the classes, but if you will out loud, Mike, go over or I can if you want me to, the timings of the classes.
I'll do it because I don't know what's going to bleed over from call to call.
Okay.
So, Tula, and we answered your question in the chat box. Our classes are Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. They are Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And they are Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, why did we pick these times? Because they might sound like odd times. I would say 75% of our clients are in North America, meaning US or Canada, South America, England, Central Europe, or Africa. Now, of course, we've got plenty of students in India, Pakistan, all over Asia and Australia. But Tuesday, because it's at 10 a.m., is the nice afternoon in Europe and Africa. Thursday, which is at 4 p.m., is it's a little bit late, but it's at 10 p.m., and it works very nicely for our students in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. And Friday is at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. works for, a lot of people have a lunch hour around then, and also it's 5 p.m. in the UK, so it's pub time. So we can get to people and work with them at almost any time for all the people that we deal with. I think the next question is from Bawa. Is there a payment plan? There absolutely is. There are 3-month and 6-month payment plans. And if you just click on the link that our team provides, you will see the option, 3 months or 6 months or single payment. And of course, we're open, honest, ethical, and straightforward. If there's a 30% discount, that will apply to every payment, whether it's a 3-month payment plan or a 6-month payment plan. We would never do first payment only. That wouldn't be ethical.
And I was over here talking to a muted microphone. So we had a question about the numbers for the elite program after the discount, and Chow answered that for us. Regularly priced, the elite program is $74.99. That includes the Cloud Architect Career Development Program, the Tech Interview Mastery Program, 3 one-on-one consultations, our Tech Leadership Executive MBA style program with weekend classes. Again, regularly priced $74.99. With the 30% Alonzo birthday discount, it's $52.49 and 30 cents. And I put a link over there for those that might be interested in that as well. Got that question. Okay, let me pop back over here now. Okay. Kamara on YouTube says, I'm working as a data engineer, but I'm interested in transitioning my career towards a role as a security engineer. Could you please advise my approach to successfully enter this new field of engineer?
Okay, Kamara. First, I generally speaking in today's world don't recommend engineering careers. And the reason I'm a little scared to recommend engineering careers is as follows. The more artificial intelligence technologies that come out here exist, the more architect jobs that are created. AI, oh, cool, I'm an architect. I've got a new tool to improve my customer's business performance. The architect has to go to the client. The architect has to ask about their business. The architect has to manage stakeholders. The architect needs to build relationships. The architect needs to manage clients and do everything, which means the architect can never be replaced by technology. The CEO of NVIDIA said in 5 years, anybody will be able to code by just talking to their computer and it will write it. We're reaching a level of technology where a lot of these engineering things are going to be done by the technology itself. So I would much rather see you be a security architect than a security engineer, because you will earn double. And not only will you earn double, but you won't be replaced by technology. Now, Kamara, if you want to be an engineer, I still love engineers. Engineers are the amazing people, super smart, that make it all work. So, Kamara, the thing that I need to know is, do you want to be a defensive engineer or an offensive engineer? Because the training pathways for both are completely different. So after what I've told you, please tell me whether you'd like to be a cloud security architect, a defensive security engineer, or an offensive security engineer, because the skills required for each are completely different. And if you train for the wrong one because nobody asked this question, you'll ultimately not have the skills to get hired. And I want you to have a great career no matter what you do. Give us that information and we can help you.
All right, there I go again, talking to a muted microphone. All right, Daniel Goshi, I'm going to answer your question on YouTube. Hi, Mike, current student in the program. Just got my AWS Solution Architect Associate. Should I go for my CCNA or the AWS Solution Architect Professional next? Daniel, send me a message on Slack and tell me if you've completed your career development plan, because that's what you need to follow.
Yep.
So send me a message on Slack and tell me if you've completed that. Because if you're doing these things without a career development plan, then we're not following the program. And we need to make sure we're following the program. If you do have a career development plan, we need to see if we want to continue following it or if you need to reassess it. So,
because your goals will dictate your thing. But as a general rule, associate certifications, kind of like an intro to junior level. Professional certifications, almost ready for the job. So I would go for professional or expert certifications. I wouldn't do a bunch of associate certifications. You know, Chris, Alonzo, who would you hire? Somebody with an MBA or 3 associate degrees? It took the same amount of time and effort to get there.
I think the choice is clear.
What's your choice?
MBA.
yeah, and yeah, and don't get me wrong, Daniel. I'm not suggesting that you aren't doing the program. I'm just saying if you've done the career development plan, let's go back and look at it. That's not a set it and forget it thing. Yeah. That's here's my plan. Let me look at it periodically and make sure I'm following it. Okay. Peter on YouTube. I would like to take the first stab at this one.
Yes, you do.
Are you likely to develop an income share agreement for those who can't afford the current payment plans? The likelihood is small. I'm not ever going to say never. Never say never. That's my motto. But the likelihood is very small, slim to none, because of the stipulations that the companies that fund these income sharing agreements require, which usually are the reasons why boot camp companies push people out to whatever job, lowest paying job they can get as quickly as possible, because of the fine print of the income sharing agreements between the companies and the providers. And that's not in line with our goals. That's not in line with our philosophy. We don't want to push people out into careers just so that they can make money to then turn around and pay somebody else back. We want to push people out into careers that they want to be in and are capable of doing and earning the most possible. So that is why our program is $24.99. You're not going to find any other program that offers 3 live classes a week for an entire year. That is 150 live classes for $2,400, $2,500. We do that on purpose because we won't do the income sharing agreement.
Yeah.
It's a fair question to ask because they're everywhere. So I'm glad you asked it. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to answer that.
Hey, Chris, also let them know that you also have access to prior classes before they even enroll. So you think about the prior information that they're gathering, the current information that they'll receive, and future information from a lifetime of access for that cloud architect training. So they're getting present, past, and future.
Absolutely. And I also want to take this opportunity, Peter, for our regular program, and this is for everybody, not just Peter. I'm referencing Peter because he asked the question. The program is $24.99. The program has payment options: 3 monthly payments, 6 monthly payments, and so on. 6 monthly payments are $475 a month. With our 30% discount, that is, oh no, that backwards.
I can do it.
$298 a month. Now, we do have the non-live program, which is roughly half the price. That one is it doesn't have any live component, but you do have the opportunity to access the live content for a small fee on a monthly basis. And so if maybe you're able to do live classes for the fee this month, great. That's a whole month of live classes that you get access to. You also get access to the recordings, even if you don't subscribe to the live classes. So next month, you're not able to do that monthly fee for access to the live classes. Okay, you still have access to the recordings. So you can find all of that on the link to the program. We try to make it as open and affordable as possible to as many people as possible without making them, for lack of a better word, indentured. So, we do have to start wrapping up, everybody. As much as I've actually loved this, I feel like I'm having split personalities going between Zoom and YouTube and LinkedIn here. But as much as I've loved this, we do have to start wrapping up because Mike has a class in an hour that he's got to teach. I'm going to allow us to answer the remaining questions that are in as of now, 3 p.m. on the dot. The only question that will be answered after this will be an absolute banger of a question. If it comes in after 3 o'clock, it's got to be a good one. And of course, I will actually make a note of, I'll actually put our email address in here. Alonzo, can you put our email address on Zoom, please? Oh, Chow did it. Thank you, Chow. All right, so let's get into these questions for you, Mike, and let's go over to Zoom first.
Okay, and then we'll back and forth.
Uni, I'm currently working in the UK, but I am on Tier 2 visa. Often see cloud jobs in UK, but they don't give sponsorship. With this course, will these hurdles go away and employers give an opportunity? Just curious.
I am not an immigration attorney. This is a question for an immigration attorney. Now, I can tell you I've had lots of people like Benedict who moved from Lagos, Nigeria, while in our program to Canada, or Arun, who was living in India that got moved to the US, or Andrew that was living in Nigeria that got moved to the UK. So the answer is it happens all the time. But I don't want to go comment on things that are related to immigration attorney matters because I'm not an immigration attorney. What I will tell you is in order for us to generally hire someone, we need to have to prove that we can't, internationally, to bring them over on a visa, that we can't find people. I can also tell you that it's near impossible to find a cloud architect. Now, I can find a gazillion and trillion AWS certified people, but that doesn't teach anybody how to become a cloud architect. So if you develop these rare skills, there's a good chance that somebody in one of these countries will want you. But, you know, I don't want to commit to that because I don't think it's fair to you, because I'm not an immigration attorney or an expert.
Okay. On Zoom, Mark asked, how are the career development plans developed, individual or through advisement at Go Cloud? How to develop and create my personal plan?
Well, there's two ways to do it. If you're in the Cloud Architect Career Development Program, you will be given information on what to do. You will then follow the directions. You will fill out the form, and our team will evaluate, is this exactly what you want? And they'll give you feedback on it to get to your goals. And we've got people every day getting hired using this program, or almost every day. If you are in the elite program, you actually get 3 one-on-one sessions. And you could normally talk, you could talk to me, which is normally $1,200 an hour, and 3 of those are included inside the program, along with the interview training, along with our business acumen executive training program, along with our branding program. And in that program, you could potentially speak to me or Chris or Alonzo, and we could spend an hour on finding your goals. And we could talk to you about your strength and interview you and build you a customized development plan based upon your goals, your strengths and weaknesses that we assess. But that's in the elite program. Otherwise, our team is very good at in the basic program, helping people become cloud architects. Very good at it. Good question.
All right. Over here on YouTube, I answered that one. Okay, Sarah says, hi, Mike. I decided to do a master's in science. I believe that's what that is, MSc. Yeah, master's in science and artificial intelligence. Do you think this is an ideal master in science to get while working to become an architect?
Sarah, okay, I want to answer this honestly. I advise people never to get master's degrees in technology. And here's what's going to happen. If you decide and go for a master's degrees in artificial intelligence, the people that are going to teach you have probably never done it before. So what you're going to get is going to be very basic, and it's not going to give you the skills necessary to do your job. Now, at the same time, it's going to be tech, and an architect is 80% business. So Sarah, I would strongly advise you to skip any master's degree in technology and swap it out for an MBA. The average salary of someone with strong business acumen skills, according to salary.com, is $558,000 a year. So if you skip the master's in technology and focused on the MBA, you could then get really good artificial intelligence training, something that's going to be meaningful from industry leaders in technology. And then you could get the business acumen there to go straight from those basic architect jobs to the principal or distinguished architect jobs. How important is that business acumen level? Well, we actually have a tech leadership program, and that's also part of our, which we sell by ourselves, which is basically the key stuff in an MBA program minus the stuff that doesn't hold value. And then we also teach all the stuff that's not covered in an MBA program. More executive presence, more leadership, more sales. In fact, I have about $100,000 of training in these skills post MBA. So Sarah, I'd advise you to focus on business and not another technology degree. Now, Sarah, if you really want to become an AI architect, I'd suggest you follow our channel very closely. I can't say any more than that right now, but I also advise you to come on next Thursday. Me and my good friend
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Me and my good friend David Lithicum. He's a cloud and AI strategist and leader. and he's been in this architecture field for about 35, 40 years now. Me, I've got my 25 years experience, and we're going to have a discussion on AI. And and that'll be a great time to ask a lot about AI architect questions, AI architect careers, and you may see something special coming from us real soon on this.
All right, so our last question is from Malcolm Brown. If I join the course, how can I train to become a cloud security architect if I want?
That's our training. We'll teach you how to become a cloud security architect. So we cover so much security in our program that, to put it into context, I have a friend's been a security engineer for 8 years, and he just sent me a message. Oh my God, Mike, I just passed the CISSP. Boy, that was a tough exam. And that is honestly the only security certification we would ever recommend. Now, I have a student that was a TV personality in Togo, Africa. His name is Richard. He's awesome. He took our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, and he said to me, Mike, I just spent 3 weeks and I passed the CISSP. He's like, oh my God, you're right. This is nothing. He's like, I can't believe how much deeper security architecture you taught me than this $1,200 certification. So we would train you. In every architecture, we'd get into deep mission critical security for our demilitarized zones. We're always talking about micro segmentation in our systems. We're always talking about the appropriate identity and access management strategies, etc. We are always talking about encryption strategies. We are always talking about server hardening strategies. We are always talking about security event correlation strategies. We are always talking about firewalls and next generation firewalls. We teach people how to micro-segment their clouds into 30, 40, or 1,000 VPCs, and how to route between them and use network security. We teach zero trust. We teach it all. All of our architects are effectively trained as both cloud security architects and cloud architects, because security is so, so, so important. Now, I gotta answer this question.
Yeah, I was about to put it up.
So here's a question for all of you. If you had
read the question off, please.
So I'll read the question off. So RCE Goat said, to be a good architect, a principal engineer said I need to be a good engineer first. Okay, I'm going to answer this RCE. If you had a broken leg, would you go to a house cleaner and ask him how to do it? How to do surgery on your leg or put you in a cast? Of course you wouldn't. An engineer has no knowledge of what an architect does. I take engineers with 20 years experience and retrain them to be architects every single day. So the key is, I don't ask a gynecologist how to deal with a rash on my face. I ask a dermatologist how to deal with a rash on my face. I ask a principal cloud architect what they did, and not an engineer. But, while we're at it, just to be fun, I'll go through a few people that never worked as an engineer that made great architects. So let's start with Arun. He was working at Home Depot. We got him hired. Then we had Ivan Tamba, really nice 24-year-old kid from Cameroon. He was working as a waiter before AWS hired him as a solution architect. Now Coyote, wow, what a cool college student. He is also from Africa. AWS hired him as a solution architect, but he never worked as an architect or an engineer in his life before that. And while we're at it, Rob D, we got hired as a solution architect. And guess what? We got him hired too. Now, who else did we get hired with no? Richard Ferrara, he was working at a bank in the fraud department. We got him his first cloud architect job. Now, who else? Malad in Germany, we got him hired, and he didn't have a tech background as well. Lenny was a video editor, so he did touch a computer in his life, but we got hired him by Arrow Electronics, which is Citrix. Now, Jordan Kitko was a college student hired by AWS. Daniel Boso, hired by JP Morgan Chase, never worked at anything. His last job was working at Nordstrom selling shoes. He didn't even graduate high school, but they decided to hire him. How about Balwinder? She was a stay-at-home mom, but Microsoft hired her, never been an engineer. How about Jermaine, who was selling landscaping gear, never been an engineer, but he got hired by Southern New Hampshire University as an enterprise architect. How about Jennifer Ema, who was a mental health tech? Now we had Noah Parker, who recently got a great cloud architect job, and he was a social worker. Now we had Vladimir, who got hired by North Highland. He was a really smart 24-year-old college student. Wallace Agana got hired as an enterprise architect, is really great. And there's that. And I could go on, but at some point it's going to get there. So here's the key. I'm not going to demo a solution. I bring an engineer to demo the solution at RECE. I'm too busy focused on business acumen. I'm too focused on my C-suite, and I'm too focused giving my presentation. Every architecture job, I bring a sales engineer and I make them demo it. I focus on my job and I let them. But seriously, don't ask an engineer to.
Right. I mean, yeah, obviously, of course, the engineer is going to say it's going to be nice to be able to demo a solution because they're an engineer. Like that's what their thought process is. That's their mindset. So from their perspective, they're absolutely right. But that's the engineer's perspective.
Yes. Who's never had the job.
And there's nothing wrong with that for the engineer. But for the architect, you want the architect's perspective. So yeah, I'm glad you addressed that one, Mike. Yeah. All right. I got to keep you on track, Mike. I know you say that you can keep going a little bit longer. No.
No,
you can't go. You can't keep going and keep going and keep going.
You have to get ready for class.
You're not the Energizer Bunny, Mike. So, what do we want to remind everybody about? It's right above your head.
Okay, so my team knows that I'll do anything to answer people's questions because I want to help their careers. But at some point, I do run out of voice at the end of the day. So, here's the thing. We currently have, and it's not going to last long till the end of the week, a 30% discount for Alonzo's birthday. It's going to come in. It's going to go fast. We're not into necessarily putting huge discounts on our program, but for me, Chris, and Alonzo, the three executives that run this company, when somebody gets hired, that's a dream come true for us. So that's why we decided to run this sale in honor of Alonzo's birthday. It's going to go on Friday. I guess that means or Saturday or whatever Chris determines is the end of the week. He runs those kind of things, not me. And take advantage of it. Change your life. For all the people that signed up, and my phone's been dinging like crazy with emails coming in, I hope I can see you in class today. If not, we look forward to meeting you in the next class. Take care, everybody. You want to become a cloud architect? We'll make you a cloud architect, and you'll have a career that you've never imagined how wonderful it is. Look forward to seeing so many of you in class. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining us.